Good evening. Chris Carino, my friend and senior producer of Washington Week with Glenn Eichel. I'd like you to count me down this evening. I don't want to speak for more than 3 minutes. 3, 2, 1, 30, wrap it. Okay?
3 minutes, Tim.
Thank you. I'm not a public speaker, but this is a very important evening. I'm not going to speak tonight about my wife Jamie as a eulogy, but I am going to speak about Jamie. At latest count, Jamie had 439 best friends and more than 1,837 people on Facebook. Jamie was very special. She felt their joys of these people each and every day. And may we all live our lives and be that lucky. At the house now, my family, we have Jamie's dog Gizmo. And Gizmo is much like Jamie because Jamie never, ever met a stranger. This is not the time to dwell on sadness, the I could've or I would've or I should've, and let's just say that sometimes our world does not spin like we want it to. Since we're speaking this evening about starting a focus upon medical health for those with OI, I will just say that very briefly, Jamie had an exploratory surgery, a procedure. Her heart stopped. The medical team got her going again. She was put on a ventilator, and 2 days later, it was very apparent that it was time for her to leave, and time for her to continue her journey in other ways. Time. Thank you. We all have grief in our lives. My family and I are not special in this process. I don't know what you all believe when someone dies, but I'll tell you this. This is the truth. I got up this morning at 8 a.m. to do something with my daughter, Lydia. My phone was underneath the pillow all night long. And this morning, as I began to jot down notes for this evening, I saw a note in my phone from 7:47 a.m. this morning. The note read, "I wasn't ready to say goodbye." Now, indeed, that's one of the titles of the many grief books that I'm reading. But I will say that there was no way for me to be in that digital part of my phone because I've been very busy for the last 10 days from work. So I take this as a sign that Jamie was not ready to say goodbye. She was not ready to say goodbye to her family, and she was not ready to say goodbye to her friends because she was not done. She had much more to achieve. And with the help of all of you here tonight, we are on our way to that goal. We are all contributors to that end. May the love, hugs, prayers, energy, psychic bursts that you have all helped the Kendall, Dombro, Flores, Ricky families with over the last few months now be redirected to the birth of this fund in honor of Jamie and the health of adults with OI. I do want to say thanks to Dr. Jay Shapiro, who's here this evening, for helping many of us here tonight through some very tough medical issues over the years. And Jay, I hope you have an unlimited talking plan on your cell phone for all the times that you pulled over to the side of the road and spoken to emergency room personnel, guiding them to the treatment of at least 20 people in this room that I know of. I now turn this over to Tracy Warborn. Tracy is the catalyst for inaugurating this event this evening. God bless.
That's a hard act to follow, Jim. Thank you all so much for coming here tonight to honor Jamie. This is the biggest fine wines ever, and that is a testament to how much Jamie mattered and how much she impacted all of us here. As Tracy mentioned, Jamie was the force behind creating fine wines, and so it is fitting that we honor her tonight. But for those of you that knew Jamie and her love of fashion and wine, I always used to kid her that this whole event was really just a ruse for her to put on a fancy dress and drink a lot. Jamie loved to travel and has been all over the world. Egypt, Ireland, there's a table over there who can probably say they've carried Jamie across many countries. She rode a camel in Egypt with a broken rib, no less. She loved to go on cruises, and true story, she was bound and determined to parasail while on a cruise in Mexico. Tim had to put his foot down telling her that he would not call her mother from a Mexican hospital to say Jamie was in the hospital from parasailing. She loved to sing karaoke, but for those of you that heard her, she was a terrible singer. She loved to go to concerts and was on a first-name basis with the accessible seating supervisor at the Verizon Center, who regularly got her into the front row. I was the beneficiary of that too. So I first met Jamie while planning the inaugural Fine Wines in 2000. I was so happy to finally meet one of the women that I was continually mistaken for. If I had a dime for every time someone asked Susie, Jamie, Tara, or me if we were the other, I think we would all be rich. Jamie and I became fast friends. She played Cupid for me and my now husband Kyle, coming up with various schemes and hijinks to land us on dates together. Sorry. My friendship with Jamie became one of the most important relationships in my life. We had a lot in common, and we could talk about anything. We often talked about our struggles in living with OI, our deepest fears about OI, our worries about our husbands and many friends who also have OI, how often our bodies couldn't keep up with all that we wanted to accomplish, and our struggles to balance it all and raise our children. I can honestly say that to every conversation, Jamie brought an intense and infectious gratitude for the many gifts she had. She would say, "You know what, sweetie, I'm just grateful for every single day." And she truly was. It was impossible to walk away from a conversation with her and not be reminded of how much I too had to be grateful for. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote that, quote, "It is not length of life, but depth of life." Jamie lived life deeply, and she truly made every day count. Whether in small things like smiling at a stranger passing by or helping a friend in need, or in big things like her work on behalf of people with disabilities, animals, or the OI community, or in her commitment to her family, she made a difference. One issue Jamie was passionate about was the health issues facing adults with OI. Jamie and I served on the OI Foundation Board of Directors together a decade ago, and she became very passionate about the lack of research being done to help adults and the lack of information available to us. She pushed for more research and better care. She accomplished a lot and truly blazed a path. It was about 2 days after Jamie died that I thought about creating the Jamie Fund. I felt like I had to do something, like we all had to do something. And what better way to honor her than to carry on something that she was passionate about. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the issues facing adults with OI. As children, OI manifests as brittle bones. Kids with OI break a lot, and that is why it is frequently called brittle bone disease. But it is really so much more. It is a disorder of the collagen, and I will spare you a biology lesson, but will simply say that collagen is in every single cell in our bodies, not just our bones. As more and more people with OI have begun to age, and social media keeping us informed of other adults with OI in an unprecedented way, doctors and the OI community started to realize that there were other issues, more serious and life-threatening issues, affecting the lungs, the heart, and other vital systems. I have lost count of how many adults with OI that I personally know who have died way too young, including Jamie. Our goal for the Jamie Fund is to raise $250,000 over the next 2 years to help improve our understanding of OI adult health and to increase access to a higher quality of healthcare. To that end, we have 3 goals. First, we would like to fund a pulmonary study for a promising new drug which may help to protect OI lungs and prevent early death. The study is ready to go and simply needs funding. Second, we would like to provide funding to send the one and only Dr. Jay Shapiro. Dr. Shapiro, where are you? Can you wave? Okay. Who, as Tim said, is not only a remarkable doctor, but an amazing human being. So we'd like to send him to medical conferences across the country to educate the medical community at large about OI so that when a patient comes in, a doctor knows the scope of how OI affects one's body. And third, we would like to develop a set of guidelines for adults from should I get a flu shot to is it safe for me to have anesthesia. In closing, I would like to quote from Jamie herself. She wrote this in a, quote, top 10 things that make people with OI cool article. Most of it's funny. She wrote, quote, breakable bones, strong spirits. Our bones are fragile, but our spirits are undaunted. Our disability is not what will define us, but our collective abilities will make us together an unbreakable and unstoppable positive force of humanity. So I invite you to carry on Jamie's legacy of being an unbreakable and unstoppable force of humanity by giving generously to the Jamie Kendall Fund tonight. On behalf of Tim, Jamie's family, and countless friends, and of course the OI Foundation, we thank you so much in advance for your generosity.
Guess there's not much left to say other than let's make this happen. I'm going to ask people to raise their paddles, and you're not buying anything now, you're just donating monies to the Jamie Fund. And what I want to do is to start with the high number. And it could hit with a thud. And we'll see. We don't want to, but I just want to be prepared should that happen. And if you want to give at this top number, then I will come out with it. If you want to give a little bit less, you can pay out that pledge over the next 6 months, or you can make 2 payments a year, 4 payments a year, 6 payments, 12 payments a year. However you want to do it, you can work that out when you make the payment. That said, is there anyone that wants to start us off with a pledge of $10,000? We have $10,000 right there. It's 338, and that's Jake Kendall. That's Jamie's son. Is there anybody that would like to join at $10,000 and then 315 is raising her battle at $10,000? Anybody else with $10,000? Anyone else that would like to get this thing going with a $10,000 pledge? Well, I'm pretty happy that we got two. Someone want to throw in $5,000? We just have a bid of $217. So at $5,000 and $267 is sitting right there. Anyone else at $5,000? Anyone else at $5,000? Let's keep going. We're at $30,000. Let's start $2,500. Anyone want to get $2,500? Bid $400 saying yes at 25. Bid $345 saying at $2,500. Bid $210 is getting us $2,500. And bid $142 is getting us $25, giving us up to $40,000. Bid $168 just got us to $42,000. And $221 is bringing us to $45,000 right now. Anyone else that's running at $25,000? Bid $237 is giving us $2,500. Wow! Who else is $25,000? Who else is $25,000? That'll bring us to $50,000 if we can get a $2,500 pledge right now. Anyone else is $2,500? Okay, I'm not unhappy. Let's come down to $1,000. At $1,000, bid it wow, all over the room. Okay, here we go. $367, $241, $263, $375, $245, $382, $275, $154, $366, $260, $385, $219, $101, $257, $388, $110, $210, $316, $150, $242. All these are $1,000. I can't believe it. Anybody else with $1,000? Anyone else with $1,000? Oh, right in front of me. 155 is giving $1,000. Do we have a total right now? 65. Whoa, we're at $65,000. And I was just handed a note that, well, I'm going to come down to $500 now. And if we can raise $5,000 at this amount, in other words, 10 more pledges at this amount, $500, Larry Johnson's going to match that with a $5,000 pledge. So 10 of you raise your hand with $500, that's going to be $10,000 right there. I can see what we're going to do. Here we go. 206, 266, 343, 147, 333, 212, 396, 389, 255, 331, 161, 373, 258, 390, 104, 332, 246, 395, and they're still coming. 277, 326, 335. Who else at 500? Okay, I don't even know where we're at now, but here's what we're going to do. 11 just now, plus we were at, so we're at $76,000. 86,000? 86, is that possible? Is that true? Okay. Well, wherever we're at, it's raining. Let's do this, because I know there are those of you that want to be involved, and I don't $500, it's a lot of money. Let's come down to $100, and let's see how much participation we can get at that number. All right, let's really go for a lot of people. All right, so 344 is going to be $100. 229, 238, 145. 166. And let me just say also, if somebody wants to give like 300, you just make it count three times and that would do it. 240, 236, 235, 143, 144, 145, 274, 325, 383, 383 again, and 383 again. 251, 397, 387, 397 again, 232, 243, 152, 229 again, and 152 again. Oh, don't worry about it. 106, 162, 319, 321, 108, 278, 254, 214, 205, 208, 220, 216, 278, 319, 325, 158, 265, 265 again, 227, 222, 151, 103, 244, 247, 168, 334. All these people are giving $100.
One more in the back.
168 is getting that number as well. 146. Help me in the back there. 391 and 392. That was 391 and 392. You get $100. Who else? Okay, we're at 291 and 168 just in time. And where are we at now? And 247 is raising his paddle again. What? Is it? We think we're at $96,000. 247 is going to get another $100. And is that again? 5 times altogether for 247. And also 371. Okay, so here's what we think. And we really don't know. But we think we're about $96,000. That's what we think. And what I would like to do, you really get through it? What I'd like to do, there's a whole panel here that thinks we're at $96,000. I would love to get to 100,000. What I would like to do is to ask you to raise your paddle and tell me how much you want to chip away that last $4,000 to bring us to 100,000. You raise your paddle and you tell me how much. And let me just tell you something. We so loved your $10,000 pledge. I mean, you loved it. I would love sort of almost as much if someone was to raise their paddle to $50. And if enough of us do that, we're going to get to $100,000. So, and if somebody wants to raise their paddle and say $1,000, whatever you want to do, we're going to do it. So I'll call your number and you tell me how much. 256. Just said $4,000. And we're going to end it there, and I'm going to turn this back over to Tracy.